is putting it all back together again to go back in the car. So I've gone ahead and switched out the batteries. Here's the new unit from Toyota. This is an OEM hybrid slash traction slash what's really called a high voltage battery. And we're going to put it back together again. So this is the package of parts that came with it, with the new battery. And some of them we had to take off. The interlock section, we had to take off the old battery. That vent system will go back on, and these new parts go back on. Along with this unit. This is the CPU and, you know, relays and what have you that bolts onto this end. Good news. The orange high voltage plug for this for the battery CPU. Let's see if we can get this so you can see it. Is clear. It's not cooked. There's no black pins. That's a problem. The pins in the middle of this connector get fried over time when they've been in a bad battery situation. This unit, used on eBay or whatever, they go for a little more than $100, but that's with the burned pins. Brand new ones like $600, and I couldn't. While I was freaking out with the possibility that this one might be bad, I looked for them online, and they kind of jumped from having kind of all the used ones had the burned pins. Is I guess what I'm getting at. So here's the new parts. This is that long black cable that we pulled off. It lays along this side of the battery. There's the old battery, by the way. So it's going to lay right along in here. There you go. One package of 2 nuts. I'm going to assume those are going to go here where the interlock is going to attach. And this little bit is going to be yet to be determined. Must be this one. It's one that I missed. Let's see what's going on under here. Take off this cover by prying the top part off. Oh yeah, the old 8mm nut. I'm learning by doing, folks. I actually couldn't find a single video anywhere of this process. Now I'm taking this off, and I took this off while they came with the new kit. Here's the thing, the guys told me, they were real specific. When I called Tustin Toyota, Brandon, on the phone, was very specific about packaging this up back into the original packaging, which is all of this stuff behind me, and packaging it up the same way as it was shipped. So I'm trying to respect that. And that is, I'm going to put the same parts back into this bag, old parts, that came, that came in it as new parts. Now, there's a reason they want it like this, and it's because, I believe, it's for safety. If these parts parts are left connected to this battery core, then someone handling it later on, this battery core, even though it's not, great for pushing around this Toyota anymore and getting great gas mileage, it still has a lot of voltage and power attached to it. And so anyone handling it later on, or if they're set next to each other, if these extraneous parts are hanging off and have power, they can arc against one another and maybe hurt people. So taking them off the battery and separating them in the bag makes sense, and I'm going to respect that and do it. So I'm putting all the same parts that we're getting new ones of into the bag. And one of those, right? Yeah, sure did. Okay, that's explained. That's why I'm doing it. Back to the battery. Let's go ahead, and as long as we're working on that unit, let's go ahead and replace this right now. This new one is a much tighter fit than the 15-year-old one. It's in there now. Okay, so this guy's going to go right in here. And they want me to use the same nut. I'll leave that on here. I'm going to spec this nut, make sure it's clean. It is. There's no corrosion on it at all. Just going to make sure that presses all the way down in there. I didn't have it seated all the way in the bottom of this orange wireframe number 2. I don't have any specifications for torquing this, so I know how tight it is when I'm taking it off, which is, a good, What's a It's not a it's a It's like the first level of tightness that's not going to come loose. I'm going to look up online and see if there actually are torque specifications. But since I could find very little information on this, I don't know. I was looking for videos unsuccessfully. Taking this one off because we have to attach this long piece. I need to check something. That is whether yeah, no, this is independent. Okay. Whether there was something in the bulkhead here that this had to pass through that was too small for this. In other words, did I have to feed it from this end in? This battery weighs about 80 pounds or so, from what I understand. Okay, now you might be able to get a better view of it. This is the piece I just connected. Pardon me, I get a drink of water. So this one, again, I'm going to push it on. I'm going to push it all the way in until it's seated. This clips down into a couple of clips in the bottom of wireframe number 2, which is this orange bit here. first, oops, I don't know where the nut I'm looking for is scenario. Here it is. The way I know it's the right nut, these nuts have an attached washer to them, and they're 8mm. They require an 8mm wrench. First I'm spinning it on like hand tight. I'm going to give that a little. Don't want to over tighten. This. Anyways, don't take my as actual measurement of torque. Please do your own research and use the appropriate amount of torque. How this lines up, there's little nipples here, nipples that these will snap over. I'm just figuring this out as I go along. It's the first time I've ever done this myself. Okay, this side of the replacement parts has been completed, I believe, although I may be incorrect. Let's take a look at this side. Okay, this is where we're going to use the two included nuts. There was corrosion. This is the old part. You can see the residue of corrosion. Even some blue-green color here from the copper wiring here, discoloring from the acid, from some acid that came out of that battery apparently. And the nuts themselves were also corroded. Oh, here they are. Here's the original nuts, and they have some corrosion on them as well. They're down here because this is all the stuff I'm returning. Okay, so new part, no corrosion. Not going on yet because this has to thread through the CPU end unit there. So timing, not ready for that one yet. Also, this has to go on the forehead. But this is where it's going to go, okay? On these two nuts here. And the cover is actually right here. This will cover it here, and this will snap over the top. The wire comes forward. Two wires come forward, and this snaps over. And then this little cover covers the wires. Let's look at plugging this thing and putting it back together. One thing with this CPU unit, there's a nut that fell in it, and I guess I've already retrieved it. It's pretty self-contained. I'm going to take a look at it and see if there's anything that's cracked or broken. I'm going to do an inspection here. I'm going to head off camera for a sec. Okay, we're going to do a visual inspection. And there's a fuse block here. It's like a ceramic fuse, I believe. There's some connections here. This copper bits here, this plastic. I'm just going to check it all in a common sense manner, visually. I'm looking for cracks or breaks, gunk. Gunk is bad. Take a look at the bottom of the unit. Looks nice and clean. This is the part where the high volt, where the car attaches right here. The cables come through. Looks good. Looks good. If on yours you want to check this battery CPU and you want to check this orange plug, you want to make sure that it's that there's no pins missing. That they're not all, check, see if it's all burned in black, and then you have to make a decision. That affects how it charges the battery, especially if there's pins missing. Sure. Yeah, it all looks good to me. So we're going to hook this up. Again, I've never done this before. There aren't really any videos out there on this, so I'm just kind of winging it here. Let me make sure that this camera is, yes, it is facing. I'm checking for comments now and again, and I will answer any comments, and later on I'll come back to the video on YouTube and what have you, and we'll get it all. I'll respond to comments. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so when the new battery comes, these I've added as the parts under this video. Their old electrical parts are wrapped in a plastic bag. I mean, old electrical parts. The 3 connectors that we spoke about in part 2 of this video series. The orange one, the white one, and the ivory one. They actually match the colors on the inside of here that they connect to are similar. Here's the ivory piece, here's the orange one, and here's the white one. And so, yeah. 1, 2, 3. That's where the plugs go. Do a quick inspection, make sure everything's tight and looks good on the new battery. Make sure all these connectors look good. I mean, I'm sure their quality control is real high. This is a genuine OEM manufacturer part that I picked up. And now I got to try to remember how to put this piece on, because this had to come off the old battery. It took me about an hour to get the old battery out of the car. It's taken me maybe an hour and a half or something. I stopped and messed around, maybe 2 hours to mess around with figuring out what parts need to be replaced. The parts all came in the bag down there, and so I knew what the parts were. I just had to find them on the old battery. Okay, what do we connect first? The last thing that came out was this orange high voltage plug, and so that's going to be the first thing that I attach. This plug should all snap in real tightly with a click. This orange, the short orange cable that we attached in this video, is going to pass through this white toroid. That's a voltage reduction thingy. You know what, before that, I'm going to look at this piece as a grounding strap, and it has some adhesive, like an adhesive band around it, and that was attached at the bracket at the bottom of the CPU unit. It just kind of covered that nut. So I'm going to put this back in there. I'm going to take a quick look and make sure that everything looks square. Okay. Interesting. I think I'm going to twist this around. And then it's going to slip over that screw. And the adhesive won't do anything. To figure out what's going on with that adhesive then. Well, okay. It's the way it wants to fit. I twist it around so that it lays flat. Once it goes over that bracket. Okay. Back to our toroid. I'm going to pass that through the toroid. This other orange one. Okay, so I got this passed through the toroid, like I showed you. That's this white piece. Now I think I'm going to be able to go ahead and attach this unit to the battery unit itself, just by pulling these other plugs off to the side, because I can attach those later on. Let's see how this lines up. As I've said multiple times, I've never done this before. It's all new to me. And there weren't really any videos available to tell me. I mean, there wasn't any videos available. Not a single one. Okay, so that lined up okay. There's just two nuts that I gotta pass over here. These are 10 millimeter, I believe. And these, of course, I'm just reinstalling the same nuts here that I removed the last time around. There's no corrosion evident, no discoloring. They are in perfectly fine condition and can be used over again. There's some wires here. I gotta kind of fish this through between the wires, and then I can put the other nut on, spin it down. Really, I have this. I like this socket wrench because I can turn it up and just kind of use finger pressure without the extra torque of the handle to get to start seating things. Okay. I can see a third one. In part number 2, where I disassembled this, I talk about exactly where these are. In correlation with this battery CPU unit, the first one is near the end of the CPU unit, right here, forward of it. The next one is at the other end, also forward of it. It's pretty obvious when I look down here. I can see where I can see the stud sticking up that doesn't have a nut on it, and I can see kind of the perfectly clean circle around it where the head of the nut sits. These are studs and nuts, and they're welded into place, and they seem pretty sturdy. So I'm going to give a pretty good tightening to these. I don't see any issues with the backside slipping or tearing off or anything like that. Okay, another quick inspection. And I gotta find another one of the ends are 10 millimeter nut. As I said, when I was disassembling this, I put them all in, those I just left out because they were the last ones I put in, but they all went into the same place. When I take out nuts and bolts, when I'm working on a project, I put them all in one place so that they are where I need them when I go looking for them. failed this one. This may not be the right. It is not. See, what happened here was I got cocky. Here they are. Okay. Now, I was kind of surprised they weren't going to supply new 8mm nuts. They did. Remember, I'm learning too here, folks. The whole point of making the video is that there was no other place to find this information. There we go, bragging on how I put all the screws in one place. Now one of them seems to have escaped me. Okay, it uses the nut that has the 8mm head, not the 10mm head. And this also passes down the bracket for the battery CPU. Okay, now I've inspected this. This is bolted into plastic. These are all plastic. I know I can lay this metal wrench on top of it, but God, my gut, and so I'm going to say just don't put metal tools on top of batteries, even though I just did it again. All right. Now I'm taking a look because there's a metal cover that goes over the outside here, and I want to make sure that I've got everything in here connected properly before putting that metal cover on. So I'm going to take a second look underneath this cover. Okay, so this is weird, but where this cable clips into the wireframe number 2 all along the way, this is freaky. It's come out of these clips. I put it into these clips, and it's not inside of these clips. It's kind of weird, but there we go. You can see the struts there were actually bent the clip instead, and I thought I'd inserted it. So remember I said I was going to do a quick inspection before I put the cover back on? That is why we do quick inspections before we put the cover back on. I'm also going to double check the tightening of this. These are the two that I installed myself. They're really tight. Let's compare it to the factory. Yeah, they're about the same as the factory tightness. I should say the factory torque. Okay, so that is a quick inspection I was going to do before I put the cover on this side. Paid off. Glad I did. I can't put the cover on yet, of course, because I actually have to still connect the other interlock device. The other interlock device. The new interlock device. What this does, here it is it sticks out of the car, and when it's inside the car, this sits flush with the battery, and this piece clips into it and locks down when you don't break it like I just did. There we go, it locks down. So before you work on the battery, you pull this guy out, and it reduces the voltage of everything inside by half. And it reduces it from really deadly to just really dangerous. So this needs to be attached to here before you can put the interlock. It's probably a more professional name for it, or a less professional, but more common name for it. Need to see if there's, yes, there are actually under this cover. Under this cover, there are two little slots where these cables, they're cable management places where the cables snap into place. And these terminals at the end of the cables slip over, and here's where we use the brand new Acorn nuts with built-in washers that came in that plastic bag with the new battery. The old ones were corroded. This is the bus. This is called the bus, and this is a wire frame plastic stuff. So the bus on my old one was corroded, and all old ones are going to be that way. And energy transfer is lost through the corrosion. It's less efficient. Another reason why even just taking apart your old battery, don't do this if you aren't qualified or comfortable doing this, but just opening up your old battery and cleaning up all these things will actually serve you well in the energy transfer business. Tighten this down hand tight. We haven't reached the fun stage yet. We slipped a little. Which I'm not totally comfortable with. So I turned it until they started twisting, and then I backed it off. And I can see there's a little crush washers in there. Let's see if I can. Okay. So the copper color part that my fingernail is just touching, you can see a little cracks in it. That washer is designed to be crushed when this tightens down, and it kind of works as a torque control device. You should never reuse crush washers. And maybe that's not a crush washer, and I'm crazy. But, yeah. Any tighter than that, and they start to twist and torque around, and you don't want that. This is... Forgot something. Forgot to put in the plastic guard behind it. 9 minutes. I'm going to follow my own advice. And not lay this wrench on top of the battery. And these depress. Let me move this so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to push the cables down until they engage and all the way. They're going to snap into place. There we go. Remember, I'm learning too. Extension here now, do we? Needed that like 42 moves ago. Now I can give it a hug. Okay. I think we can put the cover on. I see a cover over here. Oh wait, that's the cover for the old battery. No, you can't put the cover on. Why? Because we have the vents to put back on. These things are so clean. I was thinking I need to wash them. But I really don't. They're very flexible. I would inspect these if this is all rotten for some reason on yours. I would, order new ones. But these are all in great shape. Something to think about if I were to wash them is that I would want to make sure that they're completely dry before I put them on, because these are the vents that go directly into the battery compartment. So you don't want any moisture. You don't want to introduce any moisture into those vents now, do you? You don't. I promise. So these are all little gray nipples. They're kind of like, garden sprinklers, like drip mist system. If you've worked with one of those before, you just have to push each one down. You'll feel it until it snaps over all the way down over the nipples. Okay, there's one side almost done. This one's not. You can tell this one's poking up. Take a look at this. So that tells me that I missed on at least one of them. Now before I finish, I'll go back and do it again and double check everything. But that was an obvious fail from the beginning. You notice it's every other one. So the nipple, there's nipple here. Doesn't really matter. It's just something I just noticed as I'm going along. They're all slipping on over there pretty easily. Every now and then is one that's thicker than the rest, and it really positively clicks in. The ones on the ends. I guess I could have put a little bit of soapy water in here or something. A little armor on each one of these nipples would help slip down. But no, I'm going through now, and I'm just kind of pushing down, squeezing and pushing down right over each nipple to make sure that the nipple sticks up, the rubber seats all the way down to the bottom as far as I can get it. I don't think that's critical, but it'll make it look pretty in here. I can feel that these two just went down, this one went down a little. These two just went down. So when I started, I didn't know as much as when I finished. Okay, the other end lines up and there's a vent tube. The other end of the white plastic piece is a vent tube, and it attaches inside the car. It's real obvious when you get there that that's where it goes. Take another inspection. Okay, so now we have the other cables in here that need to be attached. One of the things that I noticed about the short orange high voltage cable, this one, that it has a bend, like an S-curve in it. Right here, I have to install an S-curve in it because it's too long as it passes through the toroid. So I have to kind of come back here and kind of massage it along. Just being real careful so I don't tear any of the tape or bend any of the wrong things. And I'm kind of, as I'm pushing back here, ooh, I got some black stuff on my thumb. I better clean that because I don't want the black stuff getting on the orange stuff. I wonder where that came from. Oh, that was weird. bragging about my nut and bolt management system, how efficient I was. Did I misplace something? Okay. Little nuts. Little 8mm nuts. I took those off last night. Okay. I'm gonna have to do some research on the web. I'm gonna have to do a part 4 to this series.